Have you ever wondered why some people seem immune to chaos? Not cold, not detached, but completely centered, unshaken, no matter what storms swirl around them. They don't snap when insulted. They don't crumble when plans fall apart. They don't beg for validation, and they don't waste energy trying to control what they cannot. What do they know that the rest of us don't? The truth is, most people live as emotional hostages, reacting to every jab, every comment, every inconvenience like it's a personal attack. Someone criticizes their work? Boom, spiraling self-doubt. They get ignored in a conversation? Instant insecurity. Traffic jam on the way to work? Full-blown rage before they've had their coffee. And yet, there are people, real people, who move through all of this like still water. Not because they're born that way, but because they've trained their minds to see reality differently. Here's the radical idea. Nothing in the external world has any real power over you, unless you give it permission. That's not just poetic, it's psychological. And if you truly understand this, your entire life can change. So in this video, we're going deep, not into motivational fluff, but into philosophy, psychology, and raw self-awareness. We're going to unpack how your inner world shapes your entire experience, why your biggest triggers are actually your teachers, and how to build a mind so untouchable, so rooted in truth, that nothing and no one can shake you again. And if you stay with me till the end, I'll show you exactly how to build this kind of presence, not in theory, but in practice. Let's begin. You are not reacting to the world. You are reacting to yourself. We think we suffer because of what happens to us, but that's not entirely true. You're not reacting to events. You're reacting to your interpretation of them. Let's say someone calls you lazy. Do the words hurt? No. Words are vibrations in the air. The pain comes from what those words touch inside you. A hidden insecurity, a buried fear, a wound left unhealed. Carl Jung once said, "Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves." And he meant it literally. Your emotional reactions are mirrors. You don't get angry because someone disrespected you. You get angry because a part of you still needs their respect. You don't feel worthless because you failed. You feel worthless because you've tied your worth to success. Most people spend their lives fighting shadows, blaming the world for emotions that actually belong to them. But the moment you realize that everything out there is just reflecting what's unresolved in here, you stop chasing control and you start seeking understanding. This is the first step to becoming untouchable. Your triggers are portals, not problems. If you truly want to become untouchable, you have to stop fearing your triggers and start studying them. Because your triggers aren't the enemy. They're the map to your deepest wounds. They show you where your false identities live, those fragile mental structures you've built around who you think you need to be in order to feel enough. Carl Jung called this the shadow self, the part of you you'd rather not see. The insecurities you hide, the desires you deny, the pain you suppress. And the irony? What you suppress controls you. Let me give you an example. Imagine someone says, "You'll never be successful." If you're truly secure in your path, you might smile, maybe even feel compassion for where that comment came from. But if that cuts deep, if it stings, it's because some part of you believes it might be true. And that belief has been hiding in your subconscious, just waiting for something in the external world to activate it. That's what a trigger does. It pokes at something unhealed, not to punish you, but to wake you up. The problem is, most people don't want to be woken up. They want to stay asleep. They lash out, shut down, or distract themselves instead of listening to what the discomfort is trying to teach them. But here's the truth. The fastest way to grow is not by avoiding pain, but by understanding it. Your anger? It's a boundary you haven't set. Your jealousy? A dream you've abandoned. Your sadness? A part of you you've disconnected from. So instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" ask, "What inside me is being exposed right now?" The answer to that question is your next layer of evolution. And this is where things get powerful. Every time you observe a trigger without reacting, every time you feel the heat and still choose to breathe, You reclaim a piece of yourself that you gave away. That is the beginning of self-mastery. That is how you stop being a puppet of a world and become the one pulling your own strings. What you try to control ends up controlling you. Most people go through life clinging to control like a lifeline. They try to control people's opinions. They try to control outcomes, conversations, even the future. And when things don't go their way, they suffer, they rage, they collapse. But here's what most people never stop to ask. What if the need for control is the very thing stealing your peace? Carl Jung said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." And this couldn't be more relevant when it comes to control. Because control isn't real. Not in the way we think. You can't control what other people think of you. You can't control what opportunities arise, or what storms hit your life. You can't even control what emotions come up inside you. But what you can control is how you see it all. Let that land for a second. The world isn't happening to you. The world is happening. You are the one assigning the meaning. Two people lose a job. One spirals into panic. The other feels liberated. Same event, different reality. Because perception is reality. You don't react to life itself. You react to your story about life. And that story? It was written long ago, through childhood experiences, cultural conditioning, emotional scars. But here's the powerful truth most people never realize. You can rewrite it. Every single time you catch yourself needing the world to behave a certain way. I need them to respect me. I need this to work out. I need life to be fair. You are putting your peace on a leash. And the world? It doesn't care. It won't comply. Because life is neutral. Reality is neutral. It's your interpretation that turns it into heaven or hell. The Stoics knew this. Buddhist monks knew this. Jung knew this. They weren't obsessed with changing the world. They were obsessed with changing how they see the world. Because once you understand that your perception is your greatest source of power, you stop trying to manipulate the storm. You learn to become the calm in the center of it. Here's the paradox. The less you need control, the more power you gain. The less you demand of the world, the more freedom you experience. The less you cling to how it's supposed to go, the more life opens in ways you never expected. And that's not weakness. That's mastery. You're not trapped. Your brain's just on autopilot. Here's something most people don't realize. You're not reacting because you're weak. You're reacting because your brain has learned to react that way. Emotional reactivity is a neural habit, one that's been built and reinforced over years of stress, trauma, conditioning, and repetition. Every time you lash out when insulted, every time you spiral when things go wrong, every time your mind floods with self-doubt, fear, or anger, you're strengthening that neural pathway. It's like a trail in the forest. Walk it enough times, it becomes automatic. You don't even think. Your brain just goes there. But here's the liberating part. Neuroscience now proves that these emotional loops are not permanent. Your brain can be rewired through a process called neuroplasticity. You can literally change the way your brain responds to the world, not by forcing positivity, but by building awareness, exposure, and conscious pause into your daily experience. Let's break that down. 1. Awareness is the first crack in the illusion. You cannot change what you don't notice. But the moment you become the observer of your reactions, not the puppet of them, you gain power. You feel anger rise. You feel that old fear creeping in. But instead of letting it drive the car, you watch it. You name it. Oh, there's that fear again. There's that need for validation. Just naming it creates distance. And that distance is where your freedom begins. 2. Exposure to discomfort rewires your thresholds. Most people avoid anything that makes them uncomfortable. They avoid awkward conversations. They avoid failure. They avoid being misunderstood. But here's the truth. Avoidance keeps your wounds raw. Avoidance strengthens the reactivity. When you choose to sit in the discomfort, when you choose to not react to criticism, to face rejection, to walk through fear with your eyes open, You show your nervous system that you are safe. Over time, your brain adapts. The triggers lose their charge. The storms pass without sweeping you away. 3. Reframing breaks the old narrative. The story you've been telling yourself. That person disrespected me. I always fail. I can't trust anyone. Those stories were never facts. They were interpretations. You can choose a different lens. Instead of "they insulted me," try "they revealed a part of me I haven't made peace with." Instead of "I failed again," try "I'm learning how to respond when things fall apart." Reframing isn't lying to yourself. It's about stepping back far enough to see more. Because what you see determines how you feel, and how you feel shapes how you live. The people who appear calm, grounded, unfazed, they aren't superhuman. They just stopped being ruled by their reactions. They trained their brains to pause, to observe, to respond with presence instead of panic. This is the new superpower. And it's not found in books, affirmations, or endless overthinking. It's found in practice. It's found in that split second where the trigger rises, and you don't flinch. You just watch. And in that watching, you reclaim your power. You're not here to control the world. You're here to master your own. So what does it really mean to be untouchable? It doesn't mean you're cold. It doesn't mean you stop caring or shut down emotionally. It means that your center of gravity no longer exists outside of you. You don't chase approval, because you've already approved of yourself. You don't crumble when things go wrong, because your peace was never tied to the outcome. You don't react to the chaos, because you've made peace with your own inner storm. This is what it means to become sovereign. No longer a puppet to praise or criticism. No longer enslaved by fear, rejection, or the need to be understood. You walk into life with presence, not protection. With stillness, not strategy. Carl Jung said, "He who looks outside dreams. He who looks inside awakens." The untouchable person is the one who finally wakes up. They don't need to fix the world. They don't need to escape from triggers. They simply realize, I am not my thoughts. I am the awareness behind them. They realize that most of life's pain comes not from events themselves, but from the stories they've wrapped around those events. And when they rewrite those stories, they rewrite their entire experience of life. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. When you stop being reactive, you start becoming magnetic. People are drawn to you because you're no longer trying to get anything from them. They feel safe around you because your peace doesn't fluctuate with their moods. You don't seek attention, but suddenly you have it. It's the paradox of all spiritual and psychological growth. The less you chase, the more you attract. You stop shouting to be seen, and in the silence, you become undeniable. You're no longer tossed around by emotions because you've become the observer of them. You're no longer addicted to controlling everything because you've found peace in simply responding to what is. That's not weakness. That's not passivity. That's mastery. You're not here to control the world. You're here to master your own. So what does it really mean to be untouchable? It doesn't mean you're cold. It doesn't mean you stop caring or shut down emotionally. It means that your center of gravity no longer exists outside of you. You don't chase approval because you've already approved of yourself. You don't crumble when things go wrong because your peace was never tied to the outcome. You don't react to the chaos because you've made peace with your own inner storm. This is what it means to become sovereign. No longer a puppet to praise or criticism. No longer enslaved by fear, rejection, or the need to be understood. You walk into life with presence, not protection. With stillness, not strategy. Carl Jung said, "He who looks outside dreams. He who looks inside awakens." The untouchable person is the one who finally wakes up. They don't need to fix the world. They don't need to escape from triggers. They simply realize, I am not my thoughts. I am the awareness behind them. They realize that most of life's pain comes not from events themselves, but from the stories they've wrapped around those events. And when they rewrite those stories, they rewrite their entire experience of life. Now here's where it gets really interesting. When you stop being reactive, you start becoming magnetic. People are drawn to you because you're no longer trying to get anything from them. They feel safe around you because your peace doesn't fluctuate with their moods. You don't seek attention, but suddenly you have it. It's the paradox of all spiritual and psychological growth. The less you chase, the more you attract. You stop shouting to be seen, and in the silence, you become undeniable. You're no longer tossed around by emotions because you've become the observer of them. You're no longer addicted to controlling everything because you've found peace in simply responding to what is. That's not weakness. That's not passivity. That's mastery. So here's the real question. Are you still living like a puppet, reacting to every move the world makes, handing your peace to people who never earned it? Or are you ready to become sovereign, to master your perception, rewire your mind, and live from the inside out? Because if you are, the path is simple but not easy. Observe, breathe, question everything you believe, and most importantly, train your mind to pause before it reacts. This is the beginning of the untouchable self. Not someone who never feels, but someone who never breaks. If this message resonated with you, drop a comment below and tell me, what are you reclaiming your power from today? And if you're ready to go deeper, to keep rewiring the way you think, feel, and live, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Because in the next episode, we're going even further down the rabbit hole, into the places where your true self has been waiting all along. Until then, stay grounded, stay aware, and never forget, the storm will pass, but you are the sky.